So I simply ask you the question, who are you? And where are you going? And where are you going to end up? Howard Schultz, the chairman of Starbucks, told me one time, he says, Tom, there's two things that leaders can never forget and give up. I said, what is that, Howard? He says, it's real simple. It's never forgetting who you are, and secondly, where you're leading people to go. And that's the job of all of us, is to lead people to a better and brighter place. Why? Because we want engagement. I want to right now be emotionally engaged with you, and you want your customers to be emotionally engaged with you. And that's how we have people win. That's how we have products that work, and we stay leaders. We get the best out of our people. We release people into their talents. Why? Because people know who they are. They know exactly who they are. Let me tell you what I think we're all, not required. And I use that, I'm careful to say that word. Ladies and gentlemen, let me put a qualifier out. I don't stand on the stage to make you do anything. That's not my job, trust me. I'm here to do something for you, and that's if you want it. Isn't it all about choice? Isn't it all about making decisions for ourselves and about taking control of our lives and moving forward? But let me just finish by sharing with you what I think it'd be good if we all move towards this direction. In our great city of Seattle, Washington, we have an event every year. It's an amazing event, and 11 years ago, something very special happened. As a matter of fact, you have the great Hallmark people here today, and I had the privilege of keynoting their national conference in October, and what was great about that was they had Bobby Shriver show up, and he was launching Red for Hallmark, and it was quite an event. The reason I bring him up is because this event in Seattle is the Seattle Special Olympics, and his mother, Eunice, started the Seattle Special Olympics. And so it was really interesting to meet him and see him talk. But 11 years ago, 9 kids lined up in our great city. And they lined up to run the 100-yard dash. All of these boys and girls are mentally or physically disabled. Now, I've got to tell you something. I don't think it's going to be a dash. I just really don't think they're going to run that fast. But I'll tell you this, they're going to run with a relish to win. Because the stadium is filled, and brothers and sisters and aunts and uncles and grandmas and grandpas filled the stadium, and the gun was sounded, and these 9 kids took off down the track, except for one little boy. And this one little boy, what he did is he tumbled, and he fell, and he began to cry. The other 8 runners down the track heard him cry, and so they slowed down, and then they stopped, and then they all looked back, and then they all went back. All 8 of them. A little girl with Down's syndrome walked up to the boy that was crying, and she bent down and she kissed him on the head and said, "This will make it better." And they picked him up and they dried his eyes, and then they got this crazy idea. They all locked their arms together, and they all got situated back in their own lanes, and they all walked down the track, crossing the finish line at the very same time to a standing ovation and not too many dry eyes. And I love it, and I love telling the story. Do you know why? Winning is great, but there's something better than that. It's helping other people to win. I think that's what our job is. It's not about anything else other than relationships, and certainly not about us speakers who come up here to be in front of you. And I don't even think it's really about us that fill this room. It's about the customers we get to serve. Do you know that money, we're going to be chasing dollars until the day we die? It's not about dollars either. That's just a byproduct of serving people well. And so I just share this information with you just for your own personal good, that we and I can go back and be a better husband and a better father and a better friend and a better employee and a better business associate to the people that I get to serve. Whether it's creating the greatest bank, it's the most compassionate hospital, or the most service-oriented hotel, I think that's what we're called to do, is help people to win. You know why? Life is about getting A's. Life is about knowing the answers to the test. Okay? Well, how do we do it? How do we walk out of this place to make sure? Here's one concept, one principle that I want to share with you here today. It's really simple. And it's all about making business or doing business. And how do we make it easier for people to innovate and collaborate and to inspire and to encourage? And certainly, how do we make it easier to profit? Basically, how do we make it easier to do business with? There's one way. It's right there. Go first. Go first. When we go first, we inspire people. And that's what happens when we know who we are. We can inspire people. So we go first when we get off the plane, and I go home that I'm a husband, not a businessman, because my wife's done most of the work. When you walk in as a leader of your corporation or your office, to make sure that you go first, that you lead the way with a smile and encouragement and the fact that you believe in people. Really simple stuff. How many people know of Ken Blanchard? Would you please raise your hand if you know of Ken Blanchard? Everybody does. He writes, I think, a book a week He's an amazing man. 4 years ago, we're contacted by a holding company in Dallas, Texas, and the CEO of this company said, Tom, we would like you and Ken Blanchard to come together. You guys join together, put together our messaging for the next 3 days that we have in San Diego coming up in the next year. And I said, great, I would love to do that. And so Ken Blanchard was there, and I got to know Ken. He shared a story about a Ritz-Carlton experience. Interesting thing. He asked for a 7 a.m. wake-up call. And he gets a 7 a.m. wake-up call, but this is what he hears. Ken says, thanks, I'm up, and he hears, good morning, Mr. Blanchard, this is Rita. It's a beautiful, balmy 76 degrees here in Palm Beach. Our high is going to be 87. It is a glorious day, Mr. Blanchard. I checked your itinerary and see that you're leaving us and heading off to New York City. Mr. Blanchard, I've also checked the weather in New York City, and the high is only going to be 41 degrees. Mr. Blanchard, would you consider staying a couple extra days with us, sir? Is that great? And then she says, like all Ritz-Carlton employees, Mr. Blanchard, it has been my pleasure to wake you, sir. And she begins to hang up the phone. And Ken yells back on the phone and says, wait a minute, who is this? And she comes back on and says, Mr. Blanchard, this is Rita. Well, Rita, do you do this for the hotel? No, sir. I'm a maid. We take half-hour blocks of time, and we don't believe anyone should be awakened by a recording. And I saw you on my list today, and I was thrilled to wake you. And Mr. Blanchard, I hope I did a great job. You have a great day, sir. And she hung up. And Ken said that he laid there for a few moments and finally threw the sheets off of himself. And he said he squared his feet and shoulders to the day. And at that moment, he felt inspired. Inspire people with your integrity. Inspire them with your goodwill. Inspire them with your humor, your love for life. Inspire them with your integrity and discipline. Inspire them just for the joy that they are your friend, maybe your teammate, maybe your associate. Ladies and gentlemen, inspire people. Life is so short. And I don't know how many meetings you hold, but when I was playing in the NFL on Sundays, I held about 70 meetings a day. My meetings lasted about 20 seconds in duration. In my meetings, I had to give a strategy and I had to give a belief system that people could pull it off. And all the while, about 75,000 people talked during my meeting. I hated it. It's called a huddle. It didn't take much for me because you know what? I found out one thing about people. People love to be led, and people love to follow people who know where they're going. And as I leave you here this morning, that's the one thought, that you would go first in all the things, that you would lead the way for people to follow you. I'm finished. Let me say this as we close, or as I close and step down. Thank you for your time and attention, for all of us speakers. I thank you for the respect that you give us for being here. And we certainly thank Five Star Speakers for them sponsoring this. In the back, there's a press pack. Maybe many of you have seen it, maybe you have not. But it's very simple. And if you'd like to gain some more information, it's right back there and you can grab it. Thank you very much for coming. God bless you. Have a great rest of the day, everybody. So long. Thanks so much.